All right. Welcome back to Myrna and Jenn Read the Apocrypha. Last week, we had Abraham beginning to sacrifice Isaac, and then he stopped by. We're assuming what the Bible said, an angel. We're not told an angel here. We were just told
It was just I
stopped him from doing it. That's all. So we're assuming it's an angel. But so welcome back. Now, if you like this, please subscribe. Please hit the like button. We'd really like to share this with a lot of people. I think more Bible things need to be brought out again to the world. I think we've kind of forgot about our Bible. We forgot about our Christ. We forgot about our God. And they need to come back out into the world. And so some of these things are really interesting to learn, and we'd like to share those. But we're here because we enjoy learning this, and we have found some very, very interesting things as we've done this. So come along with us as we go to chapter 19 in the Book of Jubilees. We are almost halfway.
almost so close. We should do a little celebration of a cupcake or something for halfway through.
When we do the 25th. Yeah, we should do that. We should do that. That will be good. But let's go ahead and get started. Yep. So it's after Isaac comes back down out of the mountain to sacrifice Isaac. And so here we go.
Yes.
And in the first year of the first week, in the 42nd Jubilee, Abraham returned and dwelt opposite Hebron, that is Kirjath Araba. I'm sure I butchered that. 2 weeks of years. And the first year of the third week of this Jubilee, the days of the life of Sarah were accomplished, and she died in Hebron. And Abraham went to mourn over her and bury her. And we tried him to see if his spirit were patient, and he were not indignant in the words of his mouth. And he was found patient in this and was not disturbed.
So
let's break that down, because that's interesting to me.
So Sarah died. I've never heard that wording of Sarah was accomplished.
Her days were accomplished.
Yeah, days of life of Sarah were accomplished, and she died. So she died in Hebron.
Yeah.
But he went to mourn over her and bury her. And did we hear that that Adam was buried, and they've been burying people, right?
Yes.
But they tried to see, I guess, if he was patient in it, or if he was wallowing or depressed, or they don't have those words, but that's how I'm reading it. How are you reading it?
Well, some of the words are kind of, I'm not very educated. I'll just be saying that right out loud. But what do you think it means? Because I'm not sure what it means by, well, it says if he was patient, if his spirit were patient, and he were not indignant in the words of his mouth. Does that mean that he was not mad at God?
Yes, because if you're saying you have a spirit of indignation, it describes a righteous anger or moral outrage, a feeling of strong displeasure or anger by something perceived as unjust or offensive or insulting. So you are very educated, Myrna, because yes, that is what it, I believe, is saying, that he was angry at God. Or was he patient, or was he, I guess, letting it...
Was he taking this loss of Sarah as a man of God, so to speak?
Yes,
One
instead
who
of
believes in the next
life.
life.
Or was he being angry and upset and feeling unjust towards God? They found him patient.
So they found that he was, I guess, kind of understanding. My question though is this like the first time he's had someone really close to him pass away?
That is a very good question.
Because his dad's not dead yet, right?
Um,
Who's Abraham? Abraham's dad was Methuselah, right? Am I wrong? Am I in the wrong place in the Bible?
Abraham's
Or
father
was it Noah?
was Abraham's father in the Bible. I'm looking it up. It was Terah.
Okay.
Remember, there were sons of
Yeah,
sons. His dad was Terah.
Right. But we don't know whether he saw him.
Yeah, we don't know. Let's see if we see Terah Bible death.
I'm just curious, I guess, why all of a sudden we're concerned with how he takes death.
So on one of their journeys, Terah, along with his son Abraham and Sarah and Lot, they were all on the journey when they set out from Ur of the Chaldees to go to Canaan, and at a point, he died in the city of Haran, and it says he was at the age of 205.
That's kind of young for them, right?
So it's in Genesis chapter 11.
Okay.
If you're going into the actual Bible.
Yeah. I'm just kind of wondering, okay, why all of a sudden are we concerned? Is it because it's his wife?
Yeah.
Why are we concerned? Has he had a problem in the past with this? I mean, it's interesting to me that we are concerned about this enough that we're writing it in the record.
Correct. They were worried about his reaction to her death. And it could be he really loved her that much. And later in life was able to give him, Isaac and children. And they were afraid he was going to take it hard and be mad at God. But he wasn't.
Yeah.
So good job.
Yeah, good job.
It's easy, I believe, for people in death to be annoyed at God and be upset and sever that relationship. A lot of people do it.
Yeah, it's a common place where people go.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay, here we go. 4, for impatience of spirit, he conversed with the children of Heth to the intent that they should give him a place in which to bury his dead. And the Lord gave him grace before all who saw him, and he besought in gentleness the sons of Heth, and they gave him the land of the double cave over against Mamre, that is Hebron, for 400 pieces of silver. And they besought him, saying, we shall give it to thee for nothing. But he would not take it from their hands for nothing. For he gave the price of the place, the money in full, and he bowed down before them twice. And after this, he buried his dead in the double cave.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the kind of man he is.
Yeah. Well, we've seen that in a lot of stuff.
We have.
He's very fair.
Yes.
With his dealings, right?
Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting that it's a double cave.
Yeah, I'm just going to talk about
that. The double cave over against Mamre. Mamre is the oak of Mamre. So there's that big oak tree that signifies a boundary. So there's also a double cave there. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And so he buried her in the cave instead of just out in the desert, I guess.
Yeah. It's interesting. And are we, if it's a double cave, does that mean there's enough room for him?
I don't know what it means by double cave. I think that's just interesting that the record puts that in there. Puts these little tidbits in there that are that it's almost like a treasure hunt. It feels like, where's a big oak? Is it still standing? Where's the double cave? Where, like, it's just
Right.
like an archaeology hunt a little bit to me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite interesting. Um,
But it does continue to show the character that he had.
so
Fair.
Mira or Mamre is part of Hebron.
Mhm.
So, but I thought he owned Hebron. So why was he having to buy some? Couldn't he just say that?
Because remember, things were sectioned off to different children. So he's over the land, but is he really? We don't see him ruling the land. We just know that God has given him that land for his people.
Right.
So and if somebody has a different idea about this, I would love to hear it, because I don't think there's fully enough information here to really say, but they did section things off. People are in charge of them, and whatever land he wanted to bury her, he went there and asked if he could have some. The question is why didn't he have any places to bury her?
Right.
He wanted a cave. I don't know. I don't know what their practices were at that time. The children, I guess the children of Israel, burial practices. Okay, so they were prompt and often within family tombs or caves. It was important that they be buried on ancestral land.
Okay.
So her being buried in a cave was something that they would definitely. It was normal. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go on. And all the days of the life of Sarah were 127 years. That is 2 jubilees and 4 weeks and 1 year. These are the days of the years of the life of Sarah. This is the 10th trial wherewith Abraham was tried, and he was found faithful, patient in spirit. And he said not a single word regarding the rumor in the land, how that God has said that he would give it to him and to his seed after him. And he begged for a place there to bury his dead, for he was found faithful and was recorded in the heavenly tablets as the friend of God.
I like 8. This is the 10th trial where he was tried.
Yeah, I hadn't even been counting them.
I hadn't been counting them. But apparently it was written in the tablets that he had continually been found, I guess, passing these tests or going through these trials, and was considered a friend of God. Now I'm going to say, if there's anything that you would want to have on your epitaph, on your grave, it would be friend of God.
Yeah, I would think so. It's still interesting to me that the people writing this, which I'm from the verbiage where they say we and I'm thinking this is the writing from someone from heaven that has come down. It seems to me. But it's interesting to me that we are talking so much about trying Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think we try really hard not to look at our life so much in that sense that this is a test, right?
Right.
But it almost sounds like we should look at ourselves as being in a test all the time, because Abraham's always in a test.
He's always in a test. That man has always got something going on.
And he's so righteous. I have to say, if he's so righteous and he still has these tests, I must be having tests every 10 seconds. Because I'm definitely not righteous.
Right.
but it's another way to look at the way that God looks at our workings here, our life here, the way we go through what we do here. I don't know. It's just another way of looking at God. I'm just seeing him so different. It's very interesting to me.
Well, I mean, just being called a friend of God, and all so far that we know are these different trials he's been through from the very beginning to now. And he has continually stayed obedient to God and faithful to God, even in these circumstances that have been heartbreaking and hard. And he's just been found to be obedient. And there's that idea of obedience is so lost in our culture today.
Oh, yeah, so much so. We're the ones that want to put the boundaries on God.
Yes.
That's what, that's how everybody talks. It's not, God's asked me to do this, so I do it. It's, well, God loves me, so he'll let me do what I want, is kind of the attitude I think people are carrying right now. Mm-hmm. Which tells me you don't really even understand God.
Well, because let's just look at the life of Abraham.
Yeah. I mean,
that's what the scriptures are full of. They're full of men who have done hard things and bore with patience, just like we get later on in the New Testament, right? Wait, Old Testament with Job? Sorry.
Job was the Old Testament,
yeah. And in that he bore his afflictions patiently.
Yeah.
So there's something about going through these trials and one, not wallowing in sorrow and being completely broken, and two, instead you just curse God and throw him out of your life because why would he make you suffer this way? And instead, it seems Abraham has found this even plane of, I can bear this because God is with me and is asking me to bear this. It's a very different attitude.
Yeah, it's attitude. And I think it's because he is looking at the big picture. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I think we make our mistakes because we don't look at the big picture. Mm-hmm. We don't look at what we're doing this for. We're doing this to find our space in the next place we're going to dwell.
Right.
Right. Where are we going to end up there? We just look at, this is painful, this is hard, I don't like this is not fair, da 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 da. But he, I think, is looking at the big picture, and that's why he is able to bear this in the way that he is.
Well, from our scriptures, this is but a small moment.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, and Terah, Abraham's father, lived to be 205. Sarah, it just said, lived to be 125. Like, okay, they're living a bit of time.
Yeah.
So for them to continually have that attitude is impressive to me.
Yeah. And I watched my father, and you watched your mother, go through losing their spouse to, a permanent separation, death. And I think when it's that close, it is very painful. It is very hard. I mean, it was really hard to watch my dad go through that. And I'm sure for you.
Yes.
And there's nothing you could do. You can't help. You can't, I mean, you could just be there. You could just do whatever. But it's not a whole lot you could do to help them. And that is hard to watch, let alone let's try and think about what it would be to do it.
Right.
And to do it as he's doing it without complaining.
Yep.
Without, what was it? Having an indignant.
Yes.
Like an words, against God, right? That's impressive.
That is impressive. It is impressive. So by all means, to me, he is a friend of God. I could only hope to aspire to that.
Yeah, and in verse 9, I think we need to touch on that a little bit. It's like I said to you, wasn't Hebron in where God gave him? And that's what they're saying here, is that he did not get upset about the fact that he had to buy a place to bury his wife
Right.
in a land that he was already promised to God,
Yeah.
which had not been actually fulfilled yet.
Right.
But yeah, he didn't complain about that.
So, and this is interesting too, because in that same verse 9, he had not said a single word regarding the rumor in the land, how that God had said that he would give it to him and his seed. So he hasn't, there's a rumor going around that that happened, but he has not said anything to confirm or deny it.
Right.
So you're right. He's going, this is going to be my land, and he believes God. It's just not his land yet, so he has to spend the money to bury his wife.
And because that has not been something that has been announced or made known to everybody, even though they're willing to give it to him for nothing, he paid for it. I think because he didn't want people to say that he was trying to cheat people out of something.
Right. And I'm going to suggest 400 pieces of silver. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Judas only got 30 pieces of silver for, his part in telling them who was Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is 400 pieces. That's not a small sum. So,
no,
she was worth it. I'll say that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Verse 10. Mm-hmm. And in the 4th year thereof, he took a wife for his son Isaac, and her name was Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Nahor, the brother of Abraham, the sister of Laban, and daughter of Bethuel. And Bethuel was the son of Milcah, who was the wife of Nahor, the brother of Abraham. And Abraham took himself a third wife, and her name was Keturah, from among the daughters of his household servants. For Hagar had died before Sarah, and she bare him 6 sons, Zimram and Joksan, and Medan, and Midian, and Ishbak, and Shua, in the 2 weeks of years. And in the 6th week, in the 2nd year thereof, Rebekah bare to Isaac 2 sons, Jacob and Esau. So a lot's been happening here. Isaac is old enough. He gets to have a wife, and it seems like everyone's still related to each other in a weird diagram I do not fully understand.
I don't either. But it sounds like it makes sense.
Yes.
That's all I can say.
Yes. So if somebody wants to chart that out genealogically, I would love to see the graph. Because
that would be interesting.
That is not my forte. Yeah. But Abraham has now taken himself another wife, Keturah, and wow, she bare him 6 sons.
Yeah.
And then Rebekah has 2 sons, Jacob and Esau.
Uh-huh.
And they are going to play a part.
Yeah. Crazy. I don't know.
I think it's interesting that Isaac gets Rebekah, and there's this whole genealogical thing to it, where his third wife, he again chooses someone within the household servants. He had Hagar as a handmaid. He had a child with her. Then he's married to Rebekah, and then he gets a third wife, and she gives him a lot of sons, and she's from one of the household servants. All right.
Yeah. Hang on a second here.
I mean, it is. I'm gonna go in the weeds a little bit. It's a little like the master of the house hooks up with his servants.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
mean to use the word hook up because he apparently married her, but it's that old thing of the master of the house is sleeping with other maids in the house, and it's just a known thing. It's just kind of interesting to me that he didn't branch out and try to be with someone that was I don't know. Apparently she wasn't 105, I don't think. She bore him 6 sons.
Yeah.
So she has to be of bearing years. And so he had someone that was, I'm assuming, younger.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'm just looking.
Yep, you're looking something up.
I am, because I'm remembering something from seminary.
Oh, that was many moons ago.
It was many moons ago. And I have to say, and I'll be honest, I haven't paid a whole lot of attention to this part of the Bible for a long time, right? But if I remember right, Isaac wanted Rebecca because she was very beautiful. But wasn't he the one that was tricked by Rebecca's dad?
Who?
And he actually ended up, wasn't he the one that was tricked by Rebecca's dad that actually ended up marrying Rachel first? And then he had to work another 7 years to get Rebecca? Or am I thinking of the wrong person?
You're thinking of the wrong person. I think you're thinking of the wrong person.
Okay.
So actually, I will click on this and share the chart with everyone to show kind of what this is looking like in this section. Let me.
Yeah, it was Jacob.
Oh, was it Jacob? Oh, it was Jacob. Okay.
Jacob. Not Isaac. It was his son Jacob. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm ahead of my story.
Yeah, you're ahead of your story. So here's the graph. So there's Terah, Abraham's father. Abraham's on the right-hand side. So he had 3 sons, Haran, Nahor, and Abraham. Abraham had Sarai and Hagar, Ishmael, Isaac. But Terah's son Nahor had Bethuel, whose daughter was Rebecca. That's who Isaac married. So he married his
cousin once removed.
Yes, his cousin once removed. And it's interesting here how you see the Moabites, the Ammonites, the Ishmaelites, the Edomites.
And then the Israelites.
And then the Israelites from there in it. So that's just a graphic for people to kind of see how this really is interrelated in a lot of ways. Because then Bethuel's son, Laban, who's Rebecca's brother, is who had Leah and Rachel that Jacob ends up. So those would be his cousins, his second cousins. No, his cousins.
His cousins.
So it's just so interesting how small that grouping really is. So I just wanted people to see it since I was able to find it.
Yeah. No, that's good. Good.
Because we know that in the Bible, it is so genealogical. There's so much stuff in the Book of Mormon. It's that way.
Okay.
So that's their family. So now we go on to 13 with Jacob.
Okay. Jacob was a smooth and upright man, and Esau was fierce, a man of the field and hairy, and Jacob dwelt in tents. And the youth grew, and Jacob learned to write, but Esau did not learn, for he was a man of the field and a hunter. And he lent war, and all his deeds were fierce. And Abraham loved Jacob, but Isaac loved Esau.
Okay, so what is the deal with saying someone was smooth versus hairy?
I guess it just means that he wasn't hairy.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just like,
Or
I
do
don't
they
know.
think, are they saying that he's like a smooth talker?
I think it's that because it says hairy over there that he was actually smooth and not as
Yeah,
hairy.
yeah.
So biblically, I'm looking up if it says anything about like what it meant to because we get the whole Samson story, right? But that was his that was a little different than this. But a hairy guy, I don't know.
Well, I've known guys who are pretty hairy. I mean, you can see it on their backs, right? Most men don't have hair on their backs, or that you can see. Um, and so I think it's more that it was just hairy enough that you could notice it. Um, I don't think it's like I've heard a lot of people say that this is where they think um, we get Bigfoot from.
Okay. I just put in and I'll let you know it was just kind of funny. A hairy guy in the Bible means what? And the information that comes back in part is that baldness disqualified anyone from the priest's office, and that's in Leviticus.
Oh.
Long hair was unusual and practiced as an act of religious observance by the Nazarites. In times of affliction, hair was cut off, and tearing the hair and letting it go disheveled were tokens of grief. And those are in Jeremiah, Amos, Ezra. Like it's actually in the Bible in those areas.
Okay.
So, was there a significance about his hairy appearance? So rabbis have added that Esau's hairy appearance marked him as a sinner, and his red or Edom color indicated his bloodthirstiness. So that's how rabbis have seen it.
I think it's just
I think
it may have something to do religiously, because it sounds like hair has something to do with being religious. But to me, I think the importance of why it's in the story is what happens in the future.
Yes.
That because we've read the story, we know. Otherwise, I don't think it's really even important, because they don't go on to say that he was a bad person.
No, they say Esau was fierce and Jacob was more, let's just admit, Jacob seems like a nerdy book reader and Esau seems like he's a jock. They don't just mix.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it just seems like one wears a pocket protector and one doesn't. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with either one. They're just trying to show a difference between the two of them. Because nowhere in here, yet, nor do I remember when I read it in the Bible, which, granted, I realize I've forgotten a few things, but did I read anything where it said that Esau was a bad man? Right?
Right.
And here, all it says is that Abraham loved Jacob and Esau loved, Isaac loved Esau. That's really all they're saying, is that there's a difference because, and it's probably because Jacob's a lot like Abraham.
Yes.
And Esau's probably a lot like Isaac.
Yes. A guy who's really into sports understands his sports loving son a little more than his pocket protector son. And for those of you who don't know what a pocket protector is, it's that little thing to have pins in. It's old school. Look it up.
Yeah, to keep from your leaking pins.
The pins leaking onto your shirt. So, yes, I agree.
So, yeah, I don't think at this point, unless there's something new in this that we read as we go along, that we can really say that just because they say he's hairy, that's meaning he's fallen from the grace of God, so to speak.
Right. But it's interesting that rabbis have interpreted that.
Yeah, well, and maybe because they know a lot of things, because the Jewish
Oh yeah.
religion does have things to do with what the men do with their hair. So,
Yes.
and I don't understand that. I don't know what
Right.
it is. There could be that there is some validity to that. I just don't know because I don't know
Yep.
the religious component of that.
Right.
Of hair.
It's just interesting. Something
Yeah,
if
very
anyone
much
has
interesting.
any ideas or comments about it, please give them to us.
Yes,
I'd love
please
to hear
share.
what you say. Share.
Help us learn. Help us learn.
Okay.
All right,
So,
16, my friend.
Abraham, I'm just reiterating. Abraham loved Jacob and Isaac loved Esau. So, and Abraham saw the deeds of Esau, and he knew that in Jacob should his name and seed be called. And he called Rebekah and gave commandment regarding Jacob, for he knew that she too loved Jacob much more than Esau. And he said unto her, My daughter, watch over my son Jacob, for he shall be in my stead on the earth, and for a blessing in the midst of the children of men, and for the glory of the whole seed of Shem. For I know that the Lord will choose him to be a people for a possession unto himself, above all peoples that are upon the face of the earth. So he's looking at Esau being this hunter outside guy, and he's like, Jacob is the one, and he lets Rebekah know it. And she secretly too liked Jacob more. So the person writes, right? Because we don't actually hear Rebekah say that.
No, we don't.
But watching over him and understanding that there's going to be a great blessing through Jacob, I guess the rumors in the land, he just is kind of letting Rebekah in on it so that she understands about guiding Jacob maybe differently.
Yeah. I mean, it's just Abraham's seeing something that he would like to see come to fruition. So he's guiding Rebekah into making it happen.
Yep. Because she has an influence. It's interesting that he doesn't go talk to Isaac about it.
Probably because he understands that Isaac likes Esau.
Yep.
Better.
And it won't go over well.
Right.
So.
Well, you're kind of trying to usurp your son's rights.
A little bit because, yeah. So he's going about it in a subtle way.
Right.
Interesting that that's his choice.
Yeah. All right.
19.
Okay. And behold, Isaac, my son, loves Esau more than Jacob, but I see that thou truly lovest Jacob. And still further to thy kindness to him, and let thine eyes be upon him in love, for he shall be a blessing unto us on the earth, from henceforth unto all generations of the earth. Let thy hands be strong, and let thy heart rejoice in thy son Jacob, for I have loved him far beyond all my sons.
Oh, wow. So he's really, let thy hands be strong and thy heart rejoice in Jacob. I've loved him far beyond all of my sons. He loves Jacob more than Isaac.
That's a statement.
That is a statement, buddy. That got recorded.
It did. Holy cow.
Imagine going to heaven on the other side and Isaac being like, what, Dad? Really? You love Jacob more than me?
Yeah. And
my other brothers?
Yeah. And he'll be blessed forever, and his seed will fill the earth, whole earth.
Yep.
So what Abraham sees is that Jacob can fulfill what he has been promised by God.
Correct. And that Esau probably wouldn't be able to.
Right.
Interesting personalities here.
Okay. I don't know. That's a bold statement.
It's going to sit with me.
I'm still like going, because, when you grow up in a house, you only had two.
I did. I had two kids
in your home, but we had 6, and parents have to be really careful about saying who their favorite is, because we all know they have them. It doesn't mean that you treat anybody any differently, but we all know you have a favorite, and you have more than one. You really kind of do, and not that you're trying to treat them better or anything like that. So you have to kind of be careful that you don't treat them better. But he's all full on out, just letting it all out.
Yeah. At least being that open with Rebecca.
I love my grandson more than I do my own son.
Yeah.
There you go, children. Enjoy.
All right, Abraham, it was a choice.
It's kind of bold. Okay.
Let's see what happens from that.
Let's see. Let's go.
22. If a man can number the sand of the earth, his seed also shall be numbered. And all the blessings wherewith the Lord hath blessed me and my seed shall belong to Jacob and his seed alway. And in his seed shall my name be blessed, and in the name of my fathers, Shem and Noah and Enoch and Methuselah and Enos and Seth and Adam. Wow. He just went genealogy.
He just threw down the genealogy gauntlet.
So in his seed shall my name be blessed, and the names of my fathers. So he's not even saying that it's just him and his descendants. It's all his progenitors as well.
Yeah, he's like saving a whole.
Well, it's just like the priesthood, right? The priesthood is infinite. It goes forwards and backwards.
Right.
So it's always there to Adam and to Christ and beyond, and it's downward. So it almost has that feeling of priesthood blessings from promises and those things given to him. Yeah.
Well, very much a priesthood line. Yeah. I would agree with that. And again, just the sheer number
of people
we're talking about is mind-boggling.
Yes, it is. But these days we have 8 billion people on Earth, so that's mind-boggling.
Yeah, it is. It is mind-boggling. Yeah, I don't think when I was young I'd ever thought of that.
No.
Okay, 25. And these shall serve to lay the foundations of the heaven and to strengthen the earth and to renew all the luminaries which are in the firmament. And he called Jacob before the eyes of Rebekah his mother and kissed him and blessed him and said, Jacob, my beloved son, whom my soul loveth, may God bless thee from above the firmament, and may I give thee all the blessings wherewith he blessed Adam and Enoch and Noah and Shem, and all the things of which he told me, and all the things of which he promised to give me, may he cause to cleave to thee and to thy seed forever, according to the days of heaven above the earth.
So he actually gives him a blessing and lets him know the intention.
Yeah, he literally through the priesthood bestows upon him his blessings.
Yep.
The continuation of his blessings.
Which is beautiful. The thing is we know there might be a little hiccup.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful and it's nice for a grandfather to do that, but the problem comes with you are promising something that you don't know how it's going to be fulfilled, and hopefully you are receiving revelation that this is the right thing to be doing.
And not because you see in Jacob yourself, right?
Yeah. And not just because you love people.
So I agree with that one. But it does sound like he now has blessed him and put that priesthood upon him.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting what's just about to happen.
Yeah.
Because in 28,
Oh yeah.
And the spirits of Mestama shall not rule over thee or over thy seed to turn thee from the Lord, who is thy God from henceforth forever. And may the Lord God be a father to thee, and thou the firstborn son, and to the people alway. Go in peace, my son. And they both went forth together from Abraham. And Rebekah loved Jacob with all her heart and with all her soul, very much more than Esau. But Isaac loved Esau much more than Jacob. It's repeated again.
Mm-hmm.
Rebecca's all excited and she loves him more than Esau because they just don't seem to get along. And Isaac has a different idea. And I think this is one of those moments where Abraham's going to learn that Isaac, being the father, might not be too pleased about what he did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not going to be happy about it.
But Abraham knows that he's got Rebecca to help back up this.
Yep, to be on
plan,
his side,
so to speak, right? To be on his side. That's pretty bold. All I have to say, that's pretty bold. I don't know if maybe I'm just a wimp, but I always, my husband and I talk about things before we do things, and so this seems like something that he doesn't even consult whoever his wife is at this time about it.
No. Or we don't get the record of it.
Katitha or whatever.
Yeah, Kutarok. What was that? I'm looking for the name.
It was up here.
Trials. Ketara.
He doesn't even consult her. He just goes on.
Well, I hope he consulted her, but if he did not, I think it's interesting still that he knew how Isaac felt about Esau, and he knew he wasn't going to be happy, so he went around the father.
Yeah. Yep.
And actually blessed Isaac forward.
Right. Yeah, it's I'm just going to say it's bold, man.
It's bold and not transparent.
No.
Mm-mm.
And I'm assuming our next chapter we will have some discussion on the resolution of the situation.
Oh yeah, right.
That will be interesting to hear in that what we don't already have. I am quite interested to hear or see what happens with that. But
yeah. The other one thing here is that the spirits of Mestama, because remember, he was the chief among the 10% of demons that were left on the earth in a negotiation.
Right.
That they shall not rule over thee or over thy seed to turn thee from the Lord. So we know that they won't be able to rule over them, but that doesn't mean they will not be able to tempt them and to try and get them to be off that covenant.
Yeah.
So I find it interesting how much Mestama is coming up in these scriptures.
Yeah, it is interesting to me that he's so involved. That makes me think, how involved is he right now?
Yeah, it does make me think that. It. Well, if we are believing what this it's all about what you believe, right? Do you believe the Apocrypha? Do you believe this piece to it? Do you not believe it? Personification. Yeah. So according to the Hebrew, the word mastama means hatred, hostility, enmity, or persecution. So that is what mastama embodies.
Right. It's actually a spirit, but
yes, it is. But
it embodies all of those.
But the Hebrew word, people in Hebrew and in the Bible are often named for some part of them. And for that hatred and hostility that Mastema has, that is now kind of the meaning of that word in Hebrew.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Kind of like God is known for love. Yeah. I was gonna say. Now I'm trying to remember it, but this old brain's having a hard time. And this is a little stinkery part of me, but it makes me wonder, because here we see a prophet. Abraham was basically a prophet.
Yes, Abraham was.
So we see him be tested and tried.
Yep.
We see in Mastema being able to put tests on him. And I don't think he would be any less of a prophet if once in a while he didn't pass the test, but it wasn't like a major thing, right? Because they're men, right? They're just men. And sometimes they're going to make mistakes, but I don't think they're going to make huge ones or ones that God needs to step in and change.
Right.
I don't know if that makes any sense. But that's the way I look at it. So I often wonder if there is something that is done wrong now, could it possibly be an influence of a test that is being given to one of our prophets now?
It's a fair question, because at this point, if this is true, there hasn't been any point where I can think of it saying that Mastema has been able to be taken from the earth. Right. So all men should be able to be tested, but in particular, if God believes someone to be obedient, it's like, well, let's see how far his obedience will go. How bad do things have to get before he curses you? Right. And so far, Abraham has been found to be perfectly obedient. Right. Yeah. So what about every other human being in this world? Prophets? Of course, I could see them being tested. And regular people being tested in their own ways.
Well, I think that is part of, and I'm not making any judgment when I say this, but I think right now, with the things that are happening in the LGBT community and the play on your feelings, right, and your compassion and your love for people, can be a key that Mastema could use in order to stumble our prophets a little bit. But it wouldn't be something that they would, be removed from being a prophet, because they're still just human. Right. And they do love and dare I say, and I'm going to say it.
Okay.
I'm going to say it.
Say it.
Maybe possibly the June 15th policy might possibly have been something that was influenced a little bit by Mastema's army. Because it wasn't totally thought out. It wasn't totally fail-proof, so to say. And it was changed very quickly, that I think that possibly they realized that it wasn't completely thought out, and maybe they were going a little bit too much on their feelings for those families. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I'm not blaming anybody, and I'm not saying that they were wrong, and I'm not saying they're fallen prophets. Don't get me wrong. I think they were trying to do what they felt was best, and they were trying to help families.
Yes.
People get that. People, think that they were just targeting that group, but they weren't. They were trying to help those children not be pulled between their parents, who are living a lifestyle that is against their church that they are going to, and the church telling them that their parents are wrong, and they're trying to figure out their feelings between the two. That's what they were trying to do.
When a child is 8 years old as well.
Yeah. So they were trying to work and keep families together and wait till that child gets old enough to understand the commitment they're making and what the difference between the lifestyle their parents are living and the lifestyle the church believes in, that they are attending, right? So I'm not saying they were wrong, don't get me wrong. I'm simply saying that possibly it was not completely thought out and their feelings got controlled with what was happening in the world, and maybe that army of Mastema and Lucifer kind of got a little bit of control. That's just I'll just leave it at that, I guess. I kind of wonder if maybe that might have possibly been what was happening also, along with other things, you know.
When it comes to the June 15th policy, that's the one, for those who don't know, that said that in the LGBT community, that if parents were divorced and one parent was in living like the LGBT lifestyle, or however you want to phrase that, that they had a same-sex partner, that the child of the original parents would not be able to be baptized. And it felt really harsh in the community, and a lot of people had a lot of feelings about it. The only thing I have fully ever said about that policy for myself is that was a leaked policy. The church did not put that policy out. It got leaked by someone. And so I always have wondered, was it ready to go out? Was it about to go out? Or was it still in process?
Yeah.
I am not sure on that. So,
yeah.
But I do agree that it was trying to help families not feel torn apart on the issue.
Yeah, yeah. But if it was leaked, it was you could use this as an example that they got a hold of it and got it out.
Yes.
It was supposed to be like Mastermas.
Yes, exactly. And
kind of in a way, that's what I'm saying. It was not. Was it influenced in somehow?
In some way, yes. Very true. And was it trying to hurt the church? Possibly, right? By leaking it possibly, obviously, people in the church, a lot of people got upset about it. And then the brethren heard those words, and it did get changed. Correct, Myrna?
Well, it actually got sent to the bishops. The letter was read over the pulpits.
Yes.
At the meeting, at everybody's meeting. So if it was leaked, either they just went ahead and sent it out, which I don't really see them doing that. So I think it was ready to go, but it was leaked before it actually got to the bishops to be read. So that's just me, though. I don't see the church saying, "Oh, they leaked it. Let's send it out now." If it wasn't ready, but that's just my opinion. But then there was so much flack, and I think that they got enough voices back to them that it was not completely fail-proof that they took it back. But I'm not saying they were wrong. It's possibly it was just handled inappropriately, or it was just messed up by Mastema. That's what I'm going to say. Mastema did it. It's Mastema's fault.
That's where the blame is being held on him.
On him.
Lots of reasons, which I think is so. That's what makes life confusing sometimes, is where are those lines? Is it me? Is it influence from, well, we'll say Mastema, we'll say our influence from God? How do we feel about things, and how do we make our choices? It can be very difficult to sort through.
Yeah.
And just to say it publicly, I do not favor one child or the other. I have two. I don't favor one.
Well, I never said that you favored them. I just said that in your heart, there usually is one that you
No,
like a little bit better.
not in my heart. I'm saying that now.
Okay.
You didn't have to choose, Myrna. You got one child.
Well, yeah.
You wanted more, but the one you had.
I don't have to choose. That is absolutely correct.
Or feel it in your heart.
But I don't know how that can't be, because there's always going to be one you get along with a little bit better. There's always going to be one that you kind of that
you're more buddies with, maybe.
That always does what you asked, or
and
that you understand better, or what.
And I think the more kids that you have, the more likely you are to have a favorite.
Yeah, I'm not saying that people.
I know you're not,
or that they do favor that child. Just that there's always going to be one that you probably get along with just a little bit better. That not that you do anything about it.
No, no, not that you love them more.
You go and give them this blessing that Abraham.
That was why it was bold. He took it a step further.
Yeah,
I'm gonna bless this guy with everything.
Yeah, so
okay,
that's
Abraham.
what I'm saying. I'm just saying, just kind of get along a little bit better with one than the other.
Okay. All righty. Are we good, Myrna?
I think we're good. Next week, we're going to find out the rest of the story, I guess. So thank you so much for coming. And please hit the like button and the subscribe button. And let's talk to us. Talk to us.
Yes.
If you're gonna catch us. We would love to have a conversation with you.
Right.
Thanks for coming. We'll see you later. And remember, the Apocryphal
rules.
Bye.